Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, of course, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. This is going to be more of a relaxed pre-taped show. We're going to be discussing the Iowa Hawkeyes, and initially, I was only going to discuss Iowa versus Illinois and leave the Purdue result out. But we may as well talk Purdue as well. Now, I did a game preview on the Iowa Hawkeyes, a season preview on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Many media members, including the Iowa media members, who will never, ever, ever be as strong of Iowa fans as you and me, thought that Iowa would be mediocre this year. They lost Luka Garza, they lost Joe Wieskamp, they lost CJ Frederick, and they lost Jack Nunge, who I think is probably the biggest loss outside of Luka Garza. Now, you can make a case for all four. I got it. You can. You really can. But Jack Nunge, because he still had eligibility. I have been pounding the desk at what he's capable of doing. I mean, the guy was 6'11". He could knock down threes. He could rebound. He can play in the post. The dude put up 20 against Iowa State. Just turn the volume down a little bit. But Iowa is missing all of them, frankly. Okay. Going back to what I was saying, most people thought Iowa would be mediocre, but there were still a handful of people who thought that they had enough talent to make the NCAA tournament. By the way, it's still early in the season, and the Hawkeyes did something, and they'll have another opportunity. They picked up a quality win against Virginia that will end up mattering. That is a damn quality win, okay? Is this the best Virginia team of all time? No, it's not. By the way, so your boy picked the Iowa Hawkeyes to be a 20-win team, high 19-win team, and to be an NCAA tournament team, and I still think they are. The two teams that they have played from the Big Ten, away and at home, there have been positive signs from the young team. Guys, this is still a young team. Very young. Guys are just stepping into their roles, including Keegan Murray. This is still a very young team, and it's still early in the season. And in my opinion, Purdue and Illinois are both NCAA tournament teams. Now, Iowa had chances to beat Purdue. They had numerous opportunities to steal that game. When there was about 4 minutes left in the Purdue game, Iowa was within 2 points, 4 points, but they just couldn't hit a big shot, which I will get into. Okay, I will. Well, you know what? Let's do it now. Right now, well, I'm going to summarize the Illinois game really quickly. The Iowa Hawkeyes got off to a slow start. Illinois had either almost or literally a 10-point lead. Then Iowa goes on a 20, not, I think it was a 14-1, 21-2 or whatever run. But they were still down. After that massive run, they were still down. At a certain point in the run, I think it was 14-1, they were leading. But I remember the commentator specifically saying, wow, what a game this is going to be. Iowa on a 21 to whatever run, and they're still losing. They're still losing. By the way, guys, I am far, far more knowledgeable about basketball than I will ever be in football. Let me see if I can show you guys. Let me show you guys this really quickly. I'm going to put this in the background because I don't think some people believe me when I say I was a Division I athlete. Now, obviously, that was not basketball, okay? It was water polo. But I want to show you guys this just so you guys are aware, okay? I'm going to show you my Iowa basketball. My high school basketball stats. Nolan. So anyway, Iowa goes on a run and they were still down. I can't remember if they were down at the half. Let me see here. I'm going to pull up the score. Iowa basketball. This is a little discombobulated. So the Hawkeyes ended up losing 87-83. They were down by 10 with 4 minutes to go. I know that because I had to go to sleep. I go to sleep really early. And in this day and age, the highlights are just as good as the actual game. So the Hawkeyes have lost back-to-back games, one at home, one on the road. They lost 87-83 to Illinois. And they lost 70-77 to Purdue. So they've lost by single digits and have had multiple opportunities to win against both of these teams who are both NCAA tournament teams. And so far, Iowa has one very solid resume win against Virginia. And they have another opportunity to pick up one more against Iowa State. That is a must. The Iowa State game is a must. Iowa must pick up their second resume because if they can do that, it'll almost cancel out the 0-2 Big Ten start. By the way, the 0-2 Big Ten start virtually guarantees the Iowa Hawkeyes will not win the Big Ten this year. The only way they would win the Big Ten this year is if somehow they just absolutely went on a tear, having 10 wins in a row. It's not going to happen. So, but they can, as long as they finish in the top 7 of the Big Ten, they're fine. They're fine. So anyways, going back to the Purdue game. So this is me, guys. I went to school in California. It says my high school coach put that I was 5'11", but I was really 6'1". This was my senior year. I averaged 16.3 points per game. I scored over 400 points. I am the all-time leading scorer in my high school history. The high school I went to had about 2,000 kids, which would be class 5A in Iowa, in the state of Iowa. So the teams we played against were legit, okay, having Division I type guys, all right? So Iowa was down. I'm sorry that this is all over the place. I'm just kind of more relaxed on this one, just kind of having fun. And then in the second half, I'll just get through this real quick. In the second half, Kofi Cockburn, who Iowa was able to stop in the first half. They absolutely were not able to stop in the second half. Kofi Cockburn not only got position when he wanted, he rebounded when he wanted. And by the way, the reason why I showed you guys the basketball stuff is not to brag. It's to tell you that I know basketball way more than I'll ever know football. Okay. Had I not played Division I water polo, I would have played Division II basketball. And not to say that I don't know football somewhat, but I just know basketball at a way more intimate level. So Kofi Cockburn is absolutely manhandling the Iowa Hawkeyes. And Iowa was never able to figure it out. They were never able to figure it out. Let's look at the stats here. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, Illinois started the second half very strong. They were up 3 after the first half. Then Iowa starts the second half much better, and they were leading. And then Kofi Cockburn went to work, and Iowa never regained control of the game. I think Illinois did a pretty good job against Keegan Murray. Keegan played a fine game, but was it, and this is the next step in Keegan Murray's development. Was Keegan Murray's game like what we saw in other games where it's like, that guy's the best player on the court? Yeah, he's the best player on the court. He did have a pretty dang cool dunk. And the answer is no. The answer is no. I mean, he played fine. But when I think back to Luka Garza and Joe Wieskamp, especially Luka Garza, there were some games where, by the way, Iowa got it back to within 3 points, just like they did against Purdue. But there was never an extended period in the game where it's like, give it to Keegan. Keegan's going to work. Keegan's going to work. You know, it never happened. Tell me what you guys think of this hat, by the way. I think it's too big. By the way, I totally screwed the bill. It's crooked, but I can live with that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? So Iowa was not able to get a stop with under 2 minutes. It was 74-69. I'm watching the highlights right now. All right. What were the issues with the game? Well, it's very simple, really. Okay. Number one, let's start with rebounding. Okay. Iowa is not a poor rebounding team, but they do not have, and Rebraka and Murray are decent rebounders. They are. Outside of the scoring, I have been very surprised by Rebraka's, whatever it is, ability to defend and rebound. Yeah, it was 77-71. Patrick McCaffrey puts up a shot against the backboard, totally misses, and that was all she wrote. So Iowa was within striking distance. They didn't get a stop. And it was over. I mean, that's it. Iowa is not a bad rebounding team. Okay, they're not. But there were points against Purdue and definitely against Illinois where they got second chance opportunities, the same second chance opportunities Iowa got last year with Luka Garza. Total rebounds. This is crazy. Total rebounds, 52-23. And by the way, okay, rebounding is not 100% about size. It's not. Okay. Rebounding is about desire. That is one of the first things you learn as a young basketball player. It is all about desire. And Illinois, there were certain possessions where they went and got it more. They did. So the rebounding was 52-23, okay? And I'm not going to say Iowa doesn't have the ability to do so. They are an athletic team, more athletic than we've seen in years for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Is Rebraka a little undersized? Yeah, but he's still 6'9". Does Iowa still have a few 6'11" guys? Yeah. Keegan Murray and Chris Murray are both 6'8". Patrick Murray, 6'9". So that's number one. Rebounding was a problem. And I'm going to go back to the Purdue game to see the rebounding total in that game as well. Let's see. 42-30. So 2 games in a row being out rebounded by double digits. Not good. That is the number one thing Fran McCaffrey is going to have to work on. It's rebounding, plain and simple, because that is a tangible, workable thing that you can fix and get better. And it's a skill, it's desire. It's a bailout to say, well, we're a little bit smaller than we're a little bit smaller. No, that doesn't, it's all about desire. Does being tall help? Yeah, of course it does. But some of the best rebounders were undersized guys. All right, number 2. Well, it was still 84-81 with 8 seconds left. Number 2, and I said this in my season preview. I knew that this was going to be a concern. The biggest thing that Iowa lost with Luka Garza, Joe Wieskamp, CJ Frederick, and Jack Nunge was losing pretty much 4 above average 3-point shooters. And yeah, that's a big deal. By the way, both of these things that I just said were things that they had last year that they don't have this year. Currently, one, in my opinion, is fixable. The other one, not so much. Which is to be expected, folks. Losing a guy like Luka Garza and Joe Wieskamp takes time. It takes a little bit of time to have young guys step into their own, which I will get to as well. Okay. I'm going to tell you who I have been impressed by and some optimistic thoughts. The Iowa offense is phenomenal. Okay. They put up 83 points against Illinois. But again, it's the same old, I'm getting too ahead of myself. They put up 83 points, but at times, because they are missing what they used to have, which is above average 3-point shooters, right now, it is Jordan Bohannon and average, not above average, average 3-point shooters. Does Keegan Murray have can he sometimes be an above average 3-point shooter? Sure. But that's really it. The only, maybe Tony Perkins, maybe, but I don't really see him as that type of guy. The only other guy who is an above average 3-point shooter is Peyton Sandfort. But in reality, he's not going to get enough minutes to really make an impact. And the thing that having a few above average 3-point shooters does is it spaces the floor. It spaces the floor. And last night, there were times where the lane got clogged for Keegan Murray because, Illinois was able to sag off defenders in help defense off of Joe Toussaint, off of this guy, pretty much off of everybody, not Jabo. And in my opinion, there's no real solution there because you're either a good shooter or you're not. The only thing that we can hope for as Iowa fans there is maybe Fran McCaffrey says, listen, Jordan, I don't care if you have to force it, but you need to take at least 4 3-point shots a game. Regardless, that's what you need to do. I don't care how good their defense is. You need to put up because we need to get the floor space. Same with Peyton Sandfort, just putting it up. And outside of a few games here and there where Keegan Murray, may shoot uncharacteristically good, or Chris Murray, and by the way, they're not bad 3-point shooters. They're just not above average right now. They're average. Okay. And the third thing that is an issue, so you have rebounding, which is fixable. You have the lack of a bunch of really, a handful of above average 3-point shooters, which ultimately spaces the floor for you and allows a guy like Keegan Murray to operate. And number 3, defense. For the life of me, I don't understand. We've seen this so many effing times where the pressure, the full court press, the 3/4 full court. I think it's either a 1-2-2 that the Hawkeyes play or a 1-3-1. I think it's a 1-3-1 that they play, where Coach McCaffrey only goes to it when necessary, when needed. I don't understand that. It's kind of like Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeye football offense. I don't understand why Coach McCaffrey only goes. I mean, it's obvious in back-to-back games. It got Iowa back into the Purdue game, and against Illinois, it got Iowa back into the Illinois game. Iowa just is not a good enough man-to-man defensive team to stay in man-to-man all game long. At some point, you need to almost stubbornly implement the pressure, whether it's a half-court pressure or a full-court pressure, in order to get a spark going, because the half-court offense won't do it. Iowa will, under Fran McCaffrey, Iowa, I'm totally convinced, regardless of athleticism, I'm totally convinced Iowa will never be the type of team, again, outside of the Adam Woodbury team, Mike Gesell teams, they will never be the team to have a guy like Mike Gesell sit down in his chair and defend and have the whole team defend. Iowa just doesn't do that anymore. They don't. So that's it. That's it. Am I concerned that Iowa is 0-2 in Big Ten? A little bit. You don't want to start 0-2. You don't. But I trust the Ken Palm pretty strongly, and Iowa has been considered a top 20, not just top 25, a top 20 team in the country. And Iowa played one very good in Purdue, the number 2 team in the country, number 1 team in the polls, number 2 in KenPom, and Illinois, an NCAA tournament team. They played them strong. There's still plenty of room for growth for this Iowa team. Somebody commented to me that I got the Tony Perkins prediction correct. I'm very excited what I see with Tony Perkins. It's back-to-back games that he has had a great game. I mean, he had 16 against Illinois. He is a scorer, which is what I saw when he was coming out of high school and occasionally last year. He is a scorer, okay? He plays with confidence, he's athletic, he gets to the rim. He absolutely offers something to the Hawkeyes that they have not seen in a long time at the shooting guard position. Yes, Joe Wieskamp could get to the rim. You know, I'm trying to think of other guys, other shooting guards. You know, Anthony Clemens could do it, but he was more of a point guard, combo guard. So I'm happy what we saw with Tony Perkins. Joe Toussaint is pretty much what I thought he would be, okay? He is tough. He can defend, but offensively, he's limited. He can't really shoot. Is he a poor three-point shooter? No, but but they also don't respect it. I would not be surprised if Aaron Eulis surpasses Joe Toussaint. I wouldn't. Joe Toussaint just has not made enough improvement guys, this is his 3rd year getting a lot of playing time. And it's pretty much the same. Now, I will say he is much more relaxed, much more calm on the offensive end, not forcing it as much. But I'm just being honest, guys. I would not be surprised if Aaron Eulis becomes the starter for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Keegan Murray has been excellent. Was the game against Illinois his best game? No, it wasn't, but it was still fine. I would say, and this is the last thing that I want to say, the one thing that I'm surprised by is Rebraka's lack of production on the offensive end. The dude averaged 16 points a game at North Dakota. And we have seen nothing at Iowa. And it's so strange because Iowa is a great offensive system. Maybe it's because they have him in a different role than he's used to playing, but they're going to need Rebraka to become a threat. I mean, my prediction was based a lot upon Rebraka being somewhere close to what he was at North Dakota. He needs to be a guy who, at the very least, has 8 to 12 points every game. 3 points is not going to cut it. That is not going to cut it. Patrick McCaffrey has been fine. You have to admit it seems like a good thing that Iowa was able to nearly beat Illinois, nearly beat Purdue. I'm not going to give them too much credit for losing ultimately, but they got out rebounded. So anyways, I'm a little concerned. Iowa will have an opportunity to pick up a resume building win against Iowa State. I still think this Iowa team has the talent to make the NCAA tournament. Keep it in perspective. Both Illinois and Purdue are NCAA tournament caliber teams. I do expect Fran McCaffrey and this Iowa team to grow and learn from these losses. in my opinion, Iowa is going to need Rebraca to become some sort of threat, more of a threat than he is now. Okay. They're going to need that, because if he's not, then, yes, he's a good defender, but I'm not sure he would warrant playing 20 plus minutes a game. In my opinion, Iowa needs Jordan and Peyton Sandfort to become more aggressive from the 3-point line. But this, guys, it's still early in the season. Iowa is 7-2, and they're still top 20 in the KenPom. Okay, they're top 22. They're number 21 in the KenPom. So those are my thoughts on the game, or the last two games. The Iowa Hawkeyes are 0-2 in the Big Ten. They have a game against Iowa State coming up, which will be interesting. I will continue this coverage all season long. I forgot to say it, but please consider hitting the subscribe button. It really means a lot when you guys do that. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. So last but not least, BBAP, don't be a pussy willow. And facts or feelings, your feelings don't matter. Love y'all. Go Hawks.